This is a typical domestic plastering job. What the customers had their old kitchen ripped out, or most of it anyway. There's been a wall taken out here and a beam put in. The builder that's put the beam in, I'm grateful for the sentiment behind putting the beads on for me, but if you take a look at these staples, they're all kind of sticking out and that's the kind of joint we've got on the corner of the beads, which of course is absolutely no good whatsoever. Again, if we look at this side, I've never been a fan of trying to staple these things on, and I normally use a mitre glue and stick them straight on with a glue. In some instances you can screw these things on. There's different ways of attaching them, but I would never really suggest staples unless they're really out of the way, not like these ones. And again, up there, joint wise, you know what I'm meant to do with that, so these have got to come off and go back on again. Electrician's bin, so he's done quite a nice job. There's the wires are fairly short, so these can be wrapped up and pushed into the box, which is where you want them, completely out of the way. And of course, because it's been done by a proper electrician, there's no power thankfully to any of them, which is great. Old sockets to be filled in. The walls are Artex. It's quite rough stuff as well. What we've got on there, look at that. So this is going to be PVA'd and bonded over once I've scraped off the loose stuff. Again, also here we've got the ceiling. That's Artexed. That needs a fair bit of work doing to it. The back wall where this sink unit is, again, will need to be PVA'd, bonded and then skimmed. The client knows that, which is normal practice, if there's new units going back in to a similar place, then as long as your plastering goes down just below the worktop surface, then that is acceptable. But it's best sometimes to discuss that with the client, just so they know and aren't expecting you to go to the floor or in and out in between pipes and what have you. You can see that the this paint's going to need scraping back. It's not very nice. And yeah, so there's this Artex ceiling and another Artex ceiling through here. There's some, although I haven't technically allowed for it, there's a bit of a nasty blow in the finish along this wall, because these walls I'm not actually meant to be doing, but I'm obviously going to have to fill this in, which again shouldn't be a major issue. There'll be new beads also to go around the original window, and yeah, so this is your typical domestic job. Usually I'd like to get everything out of the kitchen, but they are quite tight for space. You can put stuff in the garden on a day like today, that's fine, but generally it could bucket down with rain at any point, so unless you get it all out there and cover it with tarps, then that's not such a good idea. The only unit that's normally left in these jobs is the sink, so you've only got that one to work around. They're obviously still using this cooker to get their meals and stuff ready, but again, as long as you've got access, you can get behind and past what's there, then that should all be good. Let's get to it. A little tip here, if you do accidentally put one of these boards around the wrong way, so you've got this dark side with the writing on facing towards you, the reason they changed it, because it used to be like that. You used to plaster this side and the light side was for artexing. Now the only issue that British Gypsum said they had was on the lip here, that this could come away. Now I've never had, and I did it for years this way around before they changed it. I've never had an issue with this coming away. And saying that, apart from that, also you'll have a scrim tape across this joint. So I don't understand it. So anywho, they're not meant to be this way around. If you're concerned about it, put a bit of PVA over the board. But generally speaking, don't freak out if you've boarded a whole ceiling and you put all the boards this way around. Another quick tip, if you've got voids like I have in the edge of this ceiling, just go up into nowhere. A good way to fix those is get a bit of plasterboard, you cut it bigger than the hole, put some scrim through it, tie a knot on the back, score it, snap it, and then, see if I can do this in one hand, you can manoeuvre your plasterboard up into the hole. What you tend to do then is put some bonding or finish around the top edge there, and then pull the plasterboard down into place so you've got tension on this. Fill that in with some bonding. Do that with all your other holes. Once your bonding's gone off a little bit, just cut that off and your holes will all be filled. I'll show you that a bit later on. What's that? You want more tips and tricks? Okay, if you're mixing up bonding in a tub and you're doing a fair amount of it, as long as you're not in a hurry to skim over it, then if you want it to stay nice and creamy right to the end of the tub before you stick your next one in, then the magic answer is to put a sachet of extra thyme in it. So that's 1 sachet for a bag of bonding. It stays lovely, creamy, right to the very last drop, and then you can whack in your next bit. There's no waste whatsoever. Okay, filling in those holes. A little bit of gear around the edge. Put some tension on your scrim. When that's dry, cut it off. finish. When you do put a sachet of extra time into bonding, you can mix it quite thick if you want to. You can keep it thin if you want to, depending on what you're going over, obviously. And you can thin it down halfway through using it, because that extra time just lets you do that. And it doesn't take that much longer to go off. Sooner, especially if I'm using it a little bit thicker than I normally would. Makes a beautiful flat base for my finish. Sorry guys, after doing it this way, not with the speed skin, but bonded and then skinning over armpits. Most of my 38 years. Oh, after all of my 38 years of plastering. That's not my age, friend, that doesn't know me. I wish. As I say, if you are mixing bonding in the tub, especially if you've got it quite thick, it's at about this point, if you're not using it up nice and quick, that you get the odd lumps and bumps forming in it and bits of it going off, no matter how well you've mixed it up. But if you look here, this is with the extra time in, still lovely and creamy right the way round, no lumps at all. So I'll be able to finish this up, put some water back in the bucket and do the next one. Now most of the time when it comes to going over these bits of walls with the beads, you can just take it all up with skim, but sometimes you'll get areas that are quite deep, and what I tend to do when that is the case is use bonding up to the beads. Gives you the kind of perfect flat base then to work to, even on like this kind of plasterboard. But it's not essential to do that, it just means you messing. As you can see, the ceiling's picking up in pretty quick time. I'd say more or less the same time it normally takes, and that is good enough. What you see there, a little bit of brown coming through, it's good to go with a skim on top. So as I say, it was more workable keeping it in the bucket with the extra time, but it hasn't really taken that much longer to go off, if any time at all, on the ceiling. So we've knocked up some skim. I'm going to skim this and pop these bits on, get this arch out of the way. A bit cramped in here today, otherwise I would be doing this on this hill, but I've got a washing machine and a dishwasher on my way, so. As most of you might know, if you're skimming this the next day, then you've got to PVA it first. And then you need to be careful because of the suctions, but it should be fairly good. Again, plastic blade, not metal. If your suction is quite high, but even if you PVA load something the next day, it's probably not a great idea to start messing about with the speed skim. If you use a metal one and you finish too soon, you will get blisters. So in fact that suction is perfect. Anyway, onward and upwards, and we'll just crack on. It's ceiling skimmed. Loam wall patched up, most of the opening done apart from the soffit and the blending on two sides. Okay, this job now has all been bonded out. Had a good coat of neat PVA. Yeah. Slightly watered down just to make it easier to roll on, but yeah. There we go. And an issue we had in here was down to there being paper underneath the Artex. The only good thing is that it'll just need a skim now. Actually, the finish up there is that good. I might just fill this little hole and crack and call it a day. But no, I'll probably scrim that and just give it a skim. But at least I won't have to bond it for a second time. Now we're 90% there with the finish. Just one more small mix to do with a little bit of half time in, and we're laughing.